From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LALATE as your reconciliation bill is released. On Friday, 645 pages were released. On Monday, another 800 pages were released, bringing the grand total to nearly 1,000 pages of what could be an 8,000-page bill. And guess what? There's tons of checks in there for the American people. Biggest payout we've ever seen in the history of this channel. I have the breaking news and all the incredible details of that reconciliation bill released. We'll be going over the details of these payouts, and boy, it's deliciousness. We'll be going over the checks that include things for hazard pay, checks for seniors, checks for vehicles, checks for bicycles, checks for vision, dental, more. Lots of checks for you and the American people. Biggest payout we've ever seen in the history of this channel. It's all happening, and guess what? The Senate's back in session today as well. The Houses and subcommittees debating the legislation. I have all the incredible details in a jam-packed recording. Then we cut to the new numbers that viewers continue to get from third stimulus, going even higher, close to $100,000. It's a big day, and I'll show you these and more, and those MSCs as well. It's a big day, and the excitement starts right here, right now, as Afternoons LALATE starts from Santa Monica. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hope you're having a beautiful day across the globe. Thank you for tuning in. Hope the weather is good where you are. Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and how the weather is. Here in Santa Monica, California, it's sweater and glasses and goggles weather. It's freezing. I don't know what happened. I'll take it. But it is literally bitter cold at the moment. I don't know what's going on here. But it's not freezing over in D.C. because they're giving you lots of checks in this fourth stimulus recon. The provisions of the reconciliation bill have been released for 600 pages, then another 800 pages. Purple Hawks are going to do so well under this fourth stimulus recon. Checks for hazard pay, checks for seniors, checks for workers, checks for bicycles, checks for vehicles, checks for house repairs, checks for dental, checks for vision, just checks for everything. Can we check it out? We can check it out. In this recording, we'll go over all the incredible details as the Senate's back in session. The Houses and subcommittees today, they're battling over this. There's a proposed deadline. I'll go over those dates as well. And then we'll be cutting into the big money that is available still under third stimulus that viewers continue to get. We'll go over fifth stimulus. We'll go over the financial news across the globe because guess what? One of the major real estate companies in China is now warning of foreclosure, bankruptcy. It's incredible. It's a big day with so much financial news 24 hours a day, and this is LALATE. Thank you for joining me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you have found it, LALATE, America's only 24-hour a day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America. Live in the morning, taped in the afternoons. Coming up next is Afternoons LALATE, Overnights Crypto, Evenings LALATE, and then we go into our late night programming with a new show jumping into the 10 o'clock time slot. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Fastest growing channel in 1 year, 400,000 subscribers. Next stop, 1 million. Let's do another 200 subscribers today. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Jump in the live chat right now if you're watching this live. And the Purple Patrol is there. Let's get to the breaking news right off the bat. So much breaking news. Number one, House is in subcommittees. Senate is in session, which means you'll actually see them on the Senate floor if you tune into C-SPAN, starting about 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The issue, the reconciliation budget bill and the separate infrastructure or bipartisan legislation. The reconciliation budget bill, who's writing it, who is negotiating it, who is coming up with the terms and the conditions? both sides of Congress, but still with the House taking the lead. We learned today a little bit more insight as to how they're doing this. I had told you over the weekend that they had slowly started to release parts of this reconciliation bill. Checks for you, massive checks. This is the largest reconciliation we've ever seen in the history of this channel. $3.5 trillion. Checks for you, the American people, application-based generally. Biggest payout we've ever seen compared to the first, second, and third stimulus that were predominantly for corporations. This is all for the American people. And we always wondered who would be the lead authors. I had always told you that the House subcommittees would be the lead authors, with the Senate part of the negotiations, but there was never confirmation. Now we got the confirmation. I was correct. The House is the lead authors of the documents, but that's not to say that is the only etched in stone situation. Here's what's going on, is that the senators, Democrats, in offices all last weekend, the weekend before that, Labor Day weekend, going face to face, having negotiations about the provisions that they want. These negotiations are not televised, they're not on C-SPAN, they're in their offices. And they're going over what they agree to, as they agree to certain items, senators, and they agree with their House Democrat colleagues, then they say, go write it. Once they've agreed to something, they say, go write it. So they have about 8,000 pages to agree to, I estimate, but we don't really know the exact page count on this final bill. And of those 8,000 pages, the first 600 were released on Friday. 645 to be exact. That calculation was a result of them saying, we agree to these items. We agree to these first 645 pages of items. So these items are done for purposes of their verbal agreement. This is critical because what I've shown viewers on this channel is the way that they do this legislation is that they first come to a verbal agreement. And that verbal agreement is effectively the finish line. The verbal agreement is effectuated by both Senate and House Democrats. And when they say, I agree to it, then they're done. Then they say, go write it. And when they're writing it, they're just confirming their verbal agreement. They already know they have enough necessary votes, and then they call the vote on it. So what do they have left to do? They still have stuff to do. And that is where Purple Push is at issue. Seats for Stimulus, of which I brought back a few weeks ago. The 2020 campaign of social media says push to ensure they have the right items in there. In a second, I'm going to go over the incredible details of these items. They are a lot. There's a lot of money, and the numbers are big. They are not $200, $300 items. They're always $1,000 or multi-$1,000 items. They are a lot, and they span the whole gamut of items you can imagine, and they're items that many people would qualify for, many of them. So you would see the ability to qualify for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 items. There's a lot of items in there to get this money for. These include checks of all magnitudes, checks that would be instant checks that would be appearing on the tax return, checks that would be monthly, all different types of checks and calculations. Now, what I've taught viewers over the last year since this channel launched is that the biggest sums of money that Congress ever gives is in stimulus packages like this, where you have to go through the meat and potatoes. And that when you're seeing the proposals before they actually have it to law, this is where you ramp up your knowledge, because once it becomes law, it's feast for famine. Everyone rushes to get this money as soon as you can get it, and it's not always indefinitely there. Some of these items do not have a run out of liquidity, so they do have enough funds for everyone. So very, very exciting news. Now, let's turn to everything else with those monthly stimulus checks, House versus Senate, Senate versus House. Every Democrat on Capitol Hill wants you to have a monthly stimulus check. Let's turn to how much they want you to have and what's at issue. This is among the items that is not yet formalized into formal documentation of the first 600 pages. We have senators and we have Democrats who both want you to have, senators and House members who both want you to have a monthly stimulus check. House Ways and Means have called for a monthly forced stimulus check. Then we have the House bill, a pandemic plus 1 year, that'd be $1,000 a month after the first month. that would amount to at least $13,000. We have AOC and Omar calling for a monthly stimulus check, $2,000. And then we have Warren, Wyden, and Sanders calling for a monthly stimulus check across the board. And then, of course, the one that has captivated country has been that House bill, because it is pandemic plus 1 year. Vote House or Senate, House or Senate. Tell me where you're tuning in from right now, and tell me how the weather is. Who would get this for a stimulus check that would come from IRS as opposed to these other stimulus checks? You would. Democrats represent single individuals, 75,000 or less. You would get that for a stimulus check. Married couple, 150,000 or less. Democrats represent, you would get it as well. Double it. Family of four. Democrats represent, you would get the first stimulus check as well. Quadruple it if you're on benefits. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, rural benefits. Democrats represent, you would get the first stimulus check as well. Meantime, is the first stimulus check income? It is not. Is it a different amount for different people? It is not. And is it a waivable check? It's not. So if you're at the beach and the check waves at you, it's the wrong check. Tell it to check itself. It's the wrong check. And if it kisses you on two cheeks, it's the Italian check on holiday. Can we top that? Yes. The incredible details is that as we await the excitement of this fourth stimulus happening, guess what's happening right today? Guess what's paying right today? Third stimulus. This channel showed you in January of 2020 that there were proposals of items under third stimulus before it was law that would pay you a fortune. At that time, I told you I can get you $14,000. I'm now getting people upwards of $100,000, and you can still get that as well. So get a pen and paper ready, and also cell phone. So I'm going to show you the big sums of money that are happening right today. I'm going to show you the inspiration story, a new one. Then I'm going to cut it to the money. Then we're going to cut over to how you get this money, and then we're going to go over all the incredible details. First, inspiration story, a new one. Mark, you've met Mark over the last few weeks. He's the individual who got $55,000 from this channel. Well, he has an update. He got another $60,000 for EIDL loan, and he got also from his state a return back of $6,000. Meantime, his brother-in-law got $30,000 for rent, $15,000 for utilities, $2,500 back from that IRS refund, another $24,000 for EIDL, and $6,000 for state, plus $75 for internet, $50 for phone. His message to you is thank you for LALATE for helping people like me and my family to save our homes and businesses. What a wonderfully kind kind individual. His brother-in-law also got $21,000 for SNAP. Yeah, keeping a running count, I have no idea. That is a lot of money. All this is just a lot. I'm so proud of Mark and his brother-in-law and his family. He goes on and says, you need to be praised. If it wasn't for you, a lot of people would be homeless and hungry. God bless you and keep your family and for you and your family keep going. I really, really appreciate that. A lot of people have been saved because of this channel since day one, but it's all an effort together. And thank you for your incredible inspirational story, Mark. I really appreciate it. Now let's go over the big money that you can get. We're going to get some rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, homeowners assistance, utilities, SNAP, and you're going to see something new this morning about other places you can get money as well. First, let's go over the money for rent. It's a lot of money you can get. It's upwards of $27,000 for rent you can get across the board starting right now. Let's look at the numbers that viewers are getting. It's just incredible. Wow, look at that. $20,000 all the way up to $27,000 for rent. Then we have utilities. We have Johnny who got $9,000 for utilities. I detailed him over the weekend. Then we have SNAP, which pays a fortune. You're going to meet someone in a second who got $25,000. Then we have people who got 3 items across the board. Among them was initially Mark, who got 2 items at $32,000, but you just saw how Mark got more items, bringing Mark's grand total to $50,500. But the sky's the limit on this channel. And meet Lorraine, who got $105,000 from this channel. You can do this as well. This is what you found here on LA. I've been getting people big sums of money since day one, getting them EIDL loans approved, upwards of $25 million of EIDL loans approved, saving their homes and their business and employees' homes. Then UI and PUA, getting people like $15,000, like Eileen Bellenkamp out of Florida. Then in fall of 2020, getting fortunes for individuals for renting utilities because second stimulus checks were not coming. Like Tyrone and his family for $15,000 out of Boston. But now you're going to get it as well with me today. Get that pen and paper ready and that cell phone because I'm going to show you the money you can get. I'm going to show you the places you can get it. And I'm going to show you some new details on how to get it. It's incredible, great news. First, here are some introductory remarks. I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to. All 6 places have money. If you need to reach out to all 6 of 6. Do not reach out to one of 6 of 6. Each has different eligibility. If one says no, reach out to the next. They have different pots of money. Number 2, listen to the keywords I say in this video. Number 3, understand every state has money for you. All right, here you go. You can reach out to your city hall, your city house authority, your county hall, your county house authority, your state hall, and your state house authority. And the keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. That's it. And you can do this. Now, I also want you to reach out to all your utility companies. So if you have 5 utility companies, reach out to all 5. And finally, new at Afternoons LA today is the nonprofits. I'm bringing them back in the mix. These are organizations that paid throughout 2020 and early 2021 to viewers of this channel. And they paid a lot. They paid everything from utilities to rent and also mortgage assistance. They are the following: Community Action, Catholic Charities, St. Vincent de Paul, United Way, and Salvation Army. If you ever need to hear any information in a part of this video, just replay it back. There's a toggle screen under the window, and under the window of the video. And with that, congratulations to Tim and Linda who got this wonderful pot of money. If you got this money as well, post in the live chat. The next part of the money is the money coming back from your federal government for refund of unemployment benefits due to computer error. Average payment is $2,000 to $5,000. The third part of the money is the incredible money coming back from IRS. Margaret got it, Todd got it, Michael got it. The average payment is everywhere from $1,200 to $2,000. You can go to irs.gov to do a transcript search to track it. Finally, a personal message from me to you. If you're in the live chat, please post your success stories for rent, utilities, and food, because when you do, you inspire people. The whole spirit of this channel is people helping people. And a lot of people need that inspiration when it comes to third stimulus. It's not just for third stimulus, though. That's one of the first things I want to say today, is that picking up the phone and getting the sums of money is not an inspiration that you're helping them only for third stimulus. You're helping them for fourth stimulus, because you're going to see in just a second that fourth stimulus is all about picking up the phone. It's not automated. It's not direct deposit to my bank account. It's not I sit back and it lands there. It's all picking up the phone, and I need you to get over that emotional impediment, or that thought process that maybe I can't do this. You can do it. I want you to pick up the phone and do it. So post your success stories in the live chat right now. You inspire people. Also, it shows people that the numbers are going bigger and bolder than ever before. And can we top that? Yes. As we go into the second part of this video, starting right now, well, the RECON has passed. The RECON procedural passed several weeks ago. So where are we right today? Let me explain the details starting right now. We had 2 bodies of legislation to do. We had RECON and also bipartisan. Initially, the roads and bridges were in the RECON, and that made the RECON unpassable. So what they did was they took the RECON, the roads and bridges, out of the RECON and put it into something called the bipartisan, and now both are passable. That's what a conservative publication confirms in my reporting. That the higher the price tag was on the RECON bill before, the harder it was to pass. By allowing Democrats to take out some of the spending for the RECON, roads and bridges, put in the bipartisan, the overall price tag of the RECON got smaller. In other words, the bipartisan made the RECON passable. The way the Democrats legislate with fellow Democrats is how I explained earlier, is they go and just meet face to face, say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? It's not broadcast. It's not appearing on C-SPAN. And they agreed in the month of June and July to do a RECON at $3.5 trillion, all checks from the American people. So that when they reduced that to bill format, it had already been agreed upon. When they voted on it, it had already been agreed upon. Just like when the RECON substantive, which I'm about to get to in a second, the 645 pages that they released on Friday, they've already agreed to those items. So why was this so important? Because that made the RECON passable. That's why Ilhan Omar, Democrat out of New York, Democrat out of Minnesota, and Representative Richard Torres, Democrat of New York, said we need a larger RECON. And that's why the President of the United States had told Jalapal, protect the RECON, because everything in there is checks for the American people. So how do we get to this wonderful spot then? We got to this wonderful spot by really keeping recon and bipartisan separate. And as we get really at the edge of the finish line, because the tow truck has passed over the finish line, and now the tow hitch is at the finish line, we need to really make careful separation of these two bodies of legislation because they sound similar, but they're very different. Recon is your money. Bipartisan is not your money. Your bill is the reconciliation, also called the budget bill, also called the Democratic spending plan and the social reform plan. Price tag $3.5 trillion. Only Democrats are needed to pass the legislation. Bipartisan, not your money. This is roads and bridges, infrastructure. Recon procedural, passed over the finish line. Yes, congratulations. So now we're doing recon substantive. Recon substantive is where the committees are given certain amounts of money and they determine how to spend the money. Let's go over the difference of recon procedural versus recon substantive. So recon procedural, already done. Price tag $3.5 trillion, and committees are given a certain amount of money how to spend. Well, guess what? Now those committees are slowly starting to release documentation about how they intend to spend the money. And you're going to see that documentation coming up in a second. The first 645 pages and then 881 pages thereafter of what they intend to spend the money on. Ultimately, seats for stimulus. You got to make sure you push purple power because there is a lot of money at issue, and there's also 6 House seats up for grabs. Let's cut back to how we got to here. From Jalopal, who recently showed Chuck call the vote on the recon. That letter was signed by 12 House Democrats, part of 100-plus House Democrats, who recently wrote the president a letter saying, we're going to be putting monthly forced stimulus checks to the forced stimulus recon. Wow, can we top that? Yes. As 7 House Democrats recently wrote the president a letter saying, we're going to be putting monthly IRS stimulus checks in there on top of the other money. Wow, you got to push purple power because this is a lot of people promising to do it. We have AOC Omar calling for a monthly stimulus check. We have House Ways and Means calling for a monthly stimulus check. There's AOC and Omar here. We have Warren, Wyden, and Sanders. And, of course, we have the House bill, $1,000 a month calling for monthly stimulus checks from IRS. And can we top that? Yes. As we go into the final 15 minutes of this video, the part you've been wondering and the part you've been excited to see, the actual recon. The first 645 pages and then 881 pages, checks of all magnitude. Wonderful, wonderful checks. It's revealed in the final 15 minutes of this video. Then I'll be going over more about what these legislators are doing between today and Wednesday. And then we'll be cutting to the IRS checks, which a lot of you still have questions about, and we're all on focus for. But meantime, if you haven't got this money for third stimulus, please do. City Hall, City House Authority, County Hall, County House Authority, State Hall, State House Authority. Pick up the phone, get that money starting right today. Get SNAP, call up Department of Agriculture and get that SNAP. SNAP is a fortune. You get it from calling up Department of Agriculture. And the eligibility is easier than stimulus check. You can call up the utility companies, get that money right now. Once you start getting the sums of money, you're going to be ready for forced stimulus. And here's a little about the community page. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Afternoons LATE as exciting details heat up for the second half of this recording. The final 15 minutes go underway right now as we go over the incredible 645 pages and then 881 pages of the reconciliation bill released Friday and today. These detail tons of checks to American people, and I'll go over all the incredible details of this. Then we'll be cutting to the other parts that are proposed for the RECON. And of course, then the IRS MSCs. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers at YouTube record. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Coming up next is Overnight's Crypto, and then Evening's LATE. Then we go into Street and Stimulus, Sirloin, and then new shows starting at 9, new reruns starting at 9, 10, and 11 o'clock tonight. So much happening across the board. Meantime, if you haven't signed up for those LA alerts, please do so. It's at news.la.com. Put your name and email address in. You do not want to miss a single video or breaking news when it happens, and watch for that confirmation email. Let's get to the details starting right now. First, let's go over the details of what's happening with this stimulus. Just briefly, this stimulus is the latest item across the board that raises your benefits up if you're on SSI and SSDI. This starts drafting in the next few days. It'll evolve, first raise your benefit limits up, then remove the asset limit, adding an inflationary benchmark, removing the income exclusion, and removing the marriage penalty. Boy, there is a lot of transitory inflationary reports out today. Transitory inflation is key when we talk about your benefits because first, they're going to raise your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, Railroad benefits, Veterans benefits, SSA. Then they're going to apply a new benchmark. That new benchmark is inflation. Where's inflation going? Well, there's a lot of concerns that maybe it is not transitory and that's going to stay very high. The new reports, financial reports out of Wall Street today, is looking at the following concern: supply chain issues. What are supply chain issues? Getting products out of the ports and into stores. They say that if those supply chain issues still remain a problem into third quarter and fourth quarter of this year, we could see massive inflation and then massive labor problems. And that could cause even higher inflation than initially thought. But then on the other hand, they said if they get the supply chain issue solved, then inflation may actually not be as high in December as initially thought. Fascinating. Let's go over all the incredible details. Of course, Wall Street is starting its worst month and it's currently having its worst month since January 2021 right now because of the incredible financial insecurity about the supply chain issues. First, they'll raise your benefits up a lifetime. Then they'll apply a new benchmark. The new benchmark is inflation. And where is inflation going? Well, at the moment, it's going up. 5% is what I say. So let's say it's 5%. That means your benefits will go up another 5%, not just next year, but lifetime. Because once your benefits go up, they never go down. Then they're going to remove the income cap, dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stay on benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. And love is going to win, and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. Meantime, will there be a fifth stimulus check? There will be. That fifth stimulus check will be in the January 2022 language, so claims the House Ways and Means. And then finally, Purple Hawks. If you haven't become a member, what are you doing? The link is in the video. If you see people in the live chat right now that are Purple Hawks, Purple Powers, and Casino VIPs, they joined, become members. Because when I was debuting the third stimulus, before it was even bill finalized or law finalized, I said there's a lot of money in here to get. A lot of money for you to get. And I said you can get up to $14,000. Stay focused beyond the stimulus check. And that's what Purple Hawks did. And now you see the Purple Hawks are getting $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. And Mark is a prime example. He got 6, 7 different items. Johnny, which I detailed all the weekend, got 7 items. People are getting lots of different items. And that's why it's so important to become a Purple Hawk, so you can get all these sums of money right now, available right now, as we get ready for fourth stimulus, which is going to be the same sort of situation. And with that, let's go in the final 15 minutes of this video, starting right now with the fourth stimulus RECON and the excitement as the reconciliation budget bill in part is released. Wow. Now let's understand where the RECON is functionally right at the moment. The reconciliation RECON budget bill or procedural RECON has passed $3.5 trillion, and money given to committees, that has already been passed. So now they're determining how the committees are to spend the money. And that is where we are right now. Recon substantive, or the tow hitch, which is attached to the tow truck. It's right in front of the finish line. Senate's in session today, starting at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Don't expect them to do anything really functional because they don't have a full bill at all, and they're certainly not even finished on all these items, but they will be arguing about stuff. Expect them to be arguing. House is in subcommittees all day today, and senators and House members are working on this language morning, noon, and night. Let's go over the 645 pages to start. Starting right now. The 645 pages released by the Democrats on Friday released that there's checks of all different magnitude, like hazard pay, like electric vehicles, like money for seniors, and more. Here are some of the items. First, there are new, I'm going to go over some broadly and then go over some specifics. Money to buy electric cars and trucks, making Pell's grants tax-free for students, giving money to rehab homes in poor neighborhoods, and then tax subsidies for certain types of production. Then we're going to go to the specifics. So now let's go to the details, starting with the excitement of that hazard pay. Hazard pay, as you know, slided into a version of a modification of existing code in the third stimulus. It's called the Earned Income Tax Credit. And it basically says that you as a single individual can get an Earned Income Tax Credit on your tax return, which could trigger a refund check if you make less than a certain amount of money, approximately $25,000, you're over a certain age, approximately 18 years of age, and they made the eligibility and the money more money under this third stimulus. But it was temporary. Now they're proposing to make the hazard pay of the Earned Income Tax Credit of 2000 of the third stimulus lifetime. It's incredible, great news. That's number one. Number two, that they are proposing to give families the ability to now get that child tax credit from third stimulus all the way to adult age. 18 years of $3,600 a year per child if the child is of a certain age, or $3,000 a year. Incredible. So the child will get either $3,000 or $3,600 depending on their age from birth all the way to age 18. Next, this is really incredible. If you care for the elderly, you can get upwards of $4,000 of credits on your return, or also if you care for children. Child care workers or elderly care workers can get upwards of $4,000. Then they're going to give you a 15% credit if you want to go buy an electric bike. 15% they're going to give back to you in cash. Then they're also going to give you money to go buy, money in part to go buy an electric vehicle. There'll also be educational grants, and some of them will involve things directly to the student. Some will go directly to college. They'll come back to the student. And that is just the cusp of the first 645 pages. Now, these are other items that they have proposed before that are likely to get in there, but they were not part of the 645 pages so far. Expansion of paid family and medical leave, buildup of child care programs, extension of household tax credits, expansion of Medicare benefits a lot, and checks for dental, checks for vision, checks for hearing, checks for lowering the eligibility age for Medicare. You've heard that a lot on this channel. I'm going to go over it again in a second. Universal pre-K free, community college free, tax incentives for green energy, and then some clean energy stuff. Then let's go to there's a lot of stuff being released here. Let's go to the 881 pages released on Monday, which talks more not about you, but how the bill is structured. I had told you originally, very, very early on, I think it was almost in June, that the president had originally proposed a corporate tax rate. I think it was 28%. And I said it was never going to happen. It was too high. It's currently 21%, which is too low. And Joe Manchin at the time said 21 is too low. It is too low. And Manchin said, I'll do 25. And the president said, fine, I'll do 25. So the Senate and the House are still battling over that percentage. But on today, the House released its approach to it, and 26.5, so a little bit higher. The official statement says our proposal will allow to address perilous climate changes and create new good jobs while strengthening the economy and reinvigorating the local communities, says Richard Neal. Then let's go to the other items that were proposed. And these are likely to get in there because they've been talking about them for so long. Here are some of the items that are proposed as well. Free school meals for all, checks. Tax break checks. Cheaper prescription medication checks. Checks for farmers. Checks for free internet. Then checks for clean energy. Then checks for workers, like checks for independent contractors. And then again, checks for seniors, like lowering the eligibility age. Checks for dental, checks for vision, and checks for hearing care. There you go. So that is the meat and potatoes of the recon. Notice something about that? Yeah. All those checks come from committees. They don't come from IRS. IRS has nothing to know about you and a bicycle. They don't know anything about you and your dental, your vision. And so all this money comes from the committees to you. These are all what I call application-based stimulus or non-automated stimulus. Throughout 2020, all the way up to the present, first, second, and third stimulus, there was the vast majority of all this money in these stimulus packages, first, second, and third, was application-based. You picked up the phone, you got the money. Whether it was SNAP, PBT, whether it was EIDL, PPP, UI, PUA, you've been doing this all along. And you absolutely can do it. You've been doing it on the third stimulus. You've been doing it really well. And now you're going to be ready on a fourth stimulus. But you see that all these massive amounts of items that are just pages after pages here, and 645 pages so far, these are not direct deposit when is it landing in my bank account items. That's not. These are items where you pick up the phone and say, I want this money, give it to me. And that is where the money goes. It's important to understand we've been doing this since day one. You've been doing it since day one. And you can rock it because this is where the biggest payouts are. First, second, and third stimulus has always been this way, where you pick up the phone, you apply, and you get these big sums of money. And people who will not do well under this are donut guy and donut girl that simply says, I want a check automatically coming direct deposit to my bank account. And it won't. There will not be a direct deposit set up to send you the 800 pages of items I just went over there because that can't be paid by IRS. IRS has no capability to pay you this money because they don't know you need the money. They don't know you're eligible for the money, and they don't know that you want this money. And the money is for so many different circumstances. That's why we have Mark as our inspiration story from third stimulus, and Johnny pick up the phone and calling and getting 7 items. Absolutely, you can do this. Now let's turn over to what I now am using the word IRS multiple stimulus checks on top of this. Why do I have to use the word IRS multiple stimulus checks? Because there's a confusion that may erupt when you look at this first 800 pages released. There are multiple stimulus checks in this fourth stimulus recon. There are monthly stimulus checks for the children. There are many different checks, multiple checks you qualify for. So the only way to make this very, very clear going forward is I'm going to add the word IRS in front of it so you know I'm referring to the check that would come in the mail written by IRS. Well, there's a push underway still to get those IRS monthly stimulus checks. And it starts with us. It started about 5 weeks ago where I said, pick up the phone and call your Democratic senators and advocate for it. Margaret reveals to me she absolutely did really well back then, about 5-6 weeks ago. And a lot of people did, like WR, picked up the phone and called Senator Chris Coons and said, we need monthly IRS stimulus checks, and advocated for it. Advocacy involves saying what you need, not asking a question like when, where, how, why. No, it's advocating. And he did that. And that's what they came back and said, yes, we're going to give it to you. Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware, Joe Biden's old confidant, said, yes, he proposes to give you a monthly stimulus check. There you go. That's what advocacy is about. But Bernie Sanders 3 weeks ago said, prior budget chairmen never asked, just stayed within D.C. I like to get out amongst the people when doing a budget bill. What does that mean? It means he wants to hear from you. He wants to hear from you. And why? Because he's the chairman of the budget committee on the Senate side that does the budget bill. Now, we have the House, which sometimes disagrees on certain things. They're doing their modifications as well. But for purposes of the Senate, He's the number one guy on the number one committee with the bill that we're doing, which is the reconciliation budget bill. And he said he wants to hear from you. And that's why Lynn Glenn picked up the phone and Brother Joshua picked up the phone 3 weeks ago after I told viewers to do that and express professionally, respectfully, and push Purple Power for things that we are owed, namely IRS MSCs. And that's what Brother Joshua did. He's a 2020 volunteer to the community page and longtime viewer and Purple Hawk of this channel. Picked up the phone and spoke to Bernie Sanders staffer and said, I want to tell you about why we need a monthly stimulus check, why my community needs it, why I need it. And the staffer said, yes, Senator Bernie Sanders is proposing a monthly stimulus check. There you go. A second world exclusive. First world exclusive, Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware. Now, a second world exclusive, Bernie Sanders, Democrat or Progressive, or Independent, Vermont. Monthly stimulus check. What are the provisions that the staffer said? $1,000 to $1,400 a month. Great. Monthly. Wow. And then 36 months. Incredible. On the high end, that would amount to $9,000, which is very comparable to the House bill, which is 6 months, $13,000. But there was a catch. Senator Sanders' staffer said he needs to know he has your support behind it before he proposes for it. Ultimately, you see how this is sort of evolving differently because we have senators doing things, we have House people doing things. A lot of people have a lot of proposals. And remember, the way the legislation starts is it will potentially go for a vote first in the House, then to the Senate, and the senators can modify it by vote-a-rama. And that is potentially where Sanders could add it in there. So pick up the phone and call your Democratic legislators like Elizabeth Warren, like Bernie, like Chuck Schumer, like Chris Coons, like AOC and Jolapal, and say, advocate for an IRS monthly stimulus check. It's important to understand that advocacy starts here. Advocacy has been the bread and butter of this channel since day one. Picking up the phone and advocating for the money that's due. But let's recap, because I know that was a lot in just a single video today. And you can see I've been watching the clock because I could just sense this video could go to 90 minutes if I don't let it, if I don't watch it. House in subcommittees, Senate on Senate floor today. But they've been working on this reconciliation substantive tooth and nail nonstop over the last few weeks. The reconciliation procedural over the finish line. Tow truck is over the finish line. Now the tow hitch is right at the edge of the finish line as they're trying to determine how to spend the money. And the first 645 pages release is deliciousness. It's a lot of checks for the American people, a lot of checks for you. Everything from money for a bicycle, down to money for free schools, down to money for other items that you qualify for. Proposals include everything from vision, dental, and hearing, not yet into the 645 pages. That's the first few hundred pages of what could be thousands and thousands of bills. Then the push on the House side to drop the corporate rate, raise the corporate rate to 26+%, higher than we thought it was going to be at 25, but certainly higher than the current legislation, lower than what the president proposed. And then we go over to the details of what's happening next, which is this week. There's a lot of talk about deadlines. I have learned over time with this channel is not to mention dates, because when I mention dates, then people take the dates and say it means something else. Here's one example. If I was to tell you there was a date for Friday, a deadline, then someone would say, oh, so we're getting a check on Monday. They sort of take a date and they use dates for things that I don't mean what they mean. Ultimately, there is a proposed deadline for Wednesday. I don't think this deadline is much of anything, so I'm really not reporting much of it. I think it's sort of a self-manifest, self-created deadline, and I don't think it really means much of anything, so I'm not really focused on it. Moreover, if I say it, people are going to say, so I'm going to check on Thursday. No, you're not going to check on Thursday. But you are, if you pick up the phone and get that rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID, and start getting that third stimulus. Thank you for your incredible love. Purple Patrol on monitor staff. And join me next as we go into overnights, crypto, and then evenings LA. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Stay with this channel because, boy, there's going to be a lot of breaking news this week. I want you to stay here because this is the week where everything is hitting very fast and furious. Stay informed, stay focused, subscribe. I want you part of this family. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Casino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.